Right, thank you very much, Ji. Thank you for the introduction, and really humbled by this. So it's been after my graduation, bachelor's in computer and systems engineering, way back in 1993. I came back, joined the energy sector, a company called Schlumberger, worked in deserts and all over the place in Africa, East Africa, Oman, Eritrea, Somalia, Djibouti, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, etc., etc. And then in Europe as well. Then I came back and came back to Pakistan, and I was employee number one of an organization called PITB, Punjab Information Technology Board. After that, I joined PwC, worked on large government digital transformation projects in government of Guam and New York and other places. After that, I headed Oracle, looking after Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Maldives, Sri Lanka. Then I was managing director of SAP. Then in 2010, I founded an organization called Excellence Level. One room, very small, very humbly, out of one room, made our own first website. And over the years, Allah was very kind. We grew into a multinational. We are now in 5 countries. We do large transformation projects across the globe. We are into artificial intelligence. We are into IoT. We hold a few patents. We are into digital transformation projects with SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, etc., etc. So it's been a very interesting journey. The other interesting thing about our company is that after running the company for 10 years, I resigned as the CEO. So I'm no longer signing checks or allow people to go on vacations and all. So it's managed professionally, and I am the Chief Innovation Officer and the Chairman of the Board. So that was a very interesting transformation from an owner-managed to a professionally managed transition. So the most exciting part is when you take a Pakistani company and make it globally best run. That makes us very exciting. So we were working with an organization in rural Punjab, and they did not know when we entered. The finance did not know how to do double entry accounting, right? From there, they became the first company in the world, first organization in the world of their kind in their particular industry, to run the latest version of SAP. So that was a massive transformation. And knowing that they recovered, the ROI of their project was like 2 months. So that is when you make an organization which is local, it does not have proper control, does not have proper vision, to be able to transform them to become globally best run. And that is what excites us. So right now, getting into this e-procurement area. E-procurement procurement becomes a very major issue across public sector organizations. So working in oil and gas sector, making sure that we have e-procurement and having the cost of doing business, lowering that and making our Pakistani companies more competitive is something that excites us. So we've done a lot of work in FMCG sector, a lot of work in public sector universities and so on and so on, oil and gas sector. So the most exciting part of the journey is getting a Pakistani company and having them become competitive internationally. Yeah. And that is what excites us. The company, when we founded it, we had 4 major core values. And not in any particular order. The first one was unflinching integrity. We said that we have a few, guiding integrity is something we're not going to compromise. So, going around the tax system and this and that, on day one we said we're not going to do it. The company works on zero cash. So there is no way you can do any sorts of unethical behavior. And in the short term, you do lose. There are certain markets that I don't wish to name where we are not very strong in Pakistan. Simply because the way contracts are given are not something that, jive with our values. Yeah. The second one was customer centricity. We knew that we have to continue. Our success is the success of our customers. So if we can make them profitable, they will increase their IT spend and consequently we become more profitable. So some of our customers, for instance, one of our customers, which is a bottler of Pepsi, we are there after Pepsi Cola International, which is their principal, we are the longest vendor that they've ever had. So starting from a simple, very small contract, we are now part of their strategy. Similarly, Karshi Industry is one of the biggest brand names. We are their strategic vendors. So anything that they do in IT, we are part of it. So that's where we can continue to add value. And many other companies like that. That work for us. Profitability is something that we were very important. And the last one was passion. The idea is that you have to love what you're doing. You have to absolutely love and enjoy. So we actually measure that when people walk into their office, are they walking fast? Is their pace increasing, or they're dragging their feet? So that particular thing actually particularly worked for us to get a very young, dynamic workforce. If you look at our senior management, they've been with us 12, 13, 14 years, and they're not related to me. We don't have any relative in the company. So that enables us to get the ownership of the company, we give it to the employees, and that creates the motivation. And that, I believe, is something that works for us, is an internal work. So services is generally an easy picking, right? With the rupee, devaluation of rupee, it's selling commodity and this and that. But we believe the future of our industry is in products. We have to build IP here. We have to be able to be more internationalized. We need to train our staff and our companies and our culture to be more tolerant and accepting of different cultures. That, I believe, is one of the major areas of learning. And in growth, the way artificial intelligence is growing, the way technology is growing, I think services market is going to shrink and the products market is going to increase. So in that particular area, looking at 4, 5, 10 years horizon, whoever controls intellectual property, whoever controls patents will work. The low-end work, like software development, making apps, technical services, will be replaced by artificial intelligence. Already you have bots which can make apps and this and that. So I believe that the future is products and not services. So it's one of the greatest honors that I've had, and it's I hope I can contribute to the technology landscape of Pakistan. It's a big honor and a big responsibility. So in terms of where our technology is at the global scale, we are there. Pakistani companies are at par, if not exceed, in terms of technology, the strength of our technology, the quality of our products, the quality of our manpower. We can rub shoulders with anybody in the world. Tech Destination Pakistan, I think, is a slogan that came too late. We should have been saying this maybe 5 years ago. So we are already there. Now, the world, we are one of the most, I would say, undiscovered treasure, which the world is discovering very quickly. We've seen year-on-year growth coming in. Now, to cater to that growth and to actually become a proper hub, I think there are a few things that need to be done on our side. We believe that the Prime Minister's vision of $25 billion and the $15 billion, which is short-term vision, that can be achieved. That's absolutely not a problem, but we have to do a few things in place. And all of those things have to be done. For instance, the first area that we need to work on is market access. We need to be able both market access, both external and internal. So external market access means that our people, our products, we need to be able to work on in traditional markets like United States, Middle East, EU, and discover new ones like Africa, like South America, and all that, because now we are ready for them. And even the internal market, we need to ensure that we focus on make in Pakistan. A dollar saved is a dollar earned. So a lot of our products that are products and services that we are importing right now, there are lots of very good Pakistani companies that could actually build them locally. That is not to say that we should not welcome multinational companies. We should certainly welcome multinational companies, Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, SAPs, etc. of the world. But we should encourage them to develop their data centers and their development centers in Pakistan, like Huawei has done, and many of them are doing it. But we need to encourage others. So that's why we have to be more inclusive. We need to be more open. The second piece of the puzzle that we need to fix is the reliability of infrastructure. For us, the only path to deliver our goods and services is internet. It has to be fast, it has to be efficient, it has to be open. If you put any roadblocks on that, that will create a problem. It will impede growth, it will impede sales, it will impede revenues. Now, we need to compare ourselves as far as infrastructure is concerned to our competitive economies. Now, what are competitive economies? Our competitive economies are friends across the border, Philippines, Egypt, maybe Portugal, Ireland. These are some of our competitive economies. We need to make sure that our infrastructure is at par with them. And there are no restrictions which further increases the risk of doing business with us. It is not how we do business, it is how easily, when we say ease of doing business, it doesn't mean ease of setting up a company. It means ease of developing that business. So we need to make sure that on the infrastructure side, it is A, reliable, and number two, it is easier to use. And there are no roadblocks, there are no sudden shocks to that. Because it is not just the pricing on which we can compete, it is also reliability and quality of service. That's number one. The third is the taxation and the government policies. Whatever our policies are, they need to be consistent. So as businessmen, we can plan, instead of year on year, we can plan on 5, 10, 15 year horizon. So our request is what needs to be done. Our taxation policy needs to be looked at a 15-year horizon. So whatever breaks we are going to get, whatever tax incentive we are going to get, instead of year on year on year, we need to have 15-year horizon breaks. So our companies can plan their infrastructure, their development plans in 15-year program. And that is what multinationals do. If I were to go tomorrow to call a large multinational company, they're saying, wait a minute, you have this tax incentive for 1 year, but do I have it next year? Because if they're going to invest 20, 30, 50, $100 million, they're not going to recover it in 1 year. They're going to recover it over 10, 15 years. So that is what the horizon on which our government incentive policy has to go. And fourth, of course, is scale. We have a young workforce. Alhamdulillah, we've done quite a bit of work on skill development. We need to continue to do it for a few years to come. And in that, what we have to realize specifically about technology is that technology changes very quickly. So we have to, whatever intervention we have to do in scale has to be led by the industry, who are the people who are then going to employ those same individuals. We have some very successful experiments, like PASHA, before our stint earlier, did the 16 companies got together and they started a program called TechLift, funded by government. Best example that I've seen globally of public-private partnership. It was a government-funded program managed and executed by the industries. 16 companies got together and trained 4,000 kids. Over 90% got employed. So the employment rate was over 90%, which is unheard of. Yeah. Why? Because as industry, we trained the way we wanted an employee. Yeah. So it was a win-win-win for everybody. Win for government, they got more people employed, got more taxes. Win for citizen because they got a job, and win for the industry because we got a workforce. And the results of that we are seeing now with quarter 30% growth. We are already seeing those results. So we need to continue to do that with a little bit of flexibility that we get to design the program and issue the program in area that industry needs. Yeah. As opposed to, because generally to roll out a program, it takes us a year. So the idea is to give that flexibility, and within a year technology changes. So the idea is that, closer to the time of execution, we decide we want to do A, B, C, or D. So all four of these ingredients need to be there for two things. A, collaborating, ensuring that the companies A, grow, and B, they bring their revenues back into the country. So there is reliability of the policy is there. And one other thing we need to do is, whilst we are all looking for foreign investment, we need to also attract the local investor. If you look at what happened in India and across the board, their IT industry, one of the major factors of their tech industry, they had the other ingredients, the scale and this and that. But the other growth came in when Tatas and Birlas, they got into the market, which were the traditional local business players. We need to ensure and further attract, some of them are coming, that our local capital gets invested. So the local traditional business houses start investing in technology. So that particular bridging is something that needs to be done. That is a very good one. I think that is something which will do well. We need to make it more. So we welcome, as PASHA, we unless foreign capital is going to say, wait a minute, where's your local capital? The local capital is there. The trust level, the financial equation changes, the risk profile changes, and that is what we are looking at. So so in terms of what we are doing is, so PASHA as an organization, first of all, we have to realize that IT is not one industry, right? It's just like saying manufacturing. So textile has different needs, chemicals has different needs, automotive has different needs. Similarly, information technology industry, we have members who build hardware. We have members who will do research, outsourcing. We have people who do digital transformation. We have people who do consulting, and then we have app developers. So it's a very broad canvas that we have. On top of that, we have companies who are $100, $200 million companies, and then we have startups. So as an organization, we need to have capability to cater to each and every one of the needs. So the larger companies might need to work with State Bank and have a policy to go and acquire companies overseas. And that is a good need and should be done. Smaller companies may have problems with getting working capital or getting remittances in without any challenges. So there are different set of challenges, and we need to have policy to address each one of them, because our growth will come from all sectors, not just the top 5 companies, but the bottom 5 companies as well. So the government, technology companies of various tiers have to work together. And again, we have animation companies and we gaming companies. Not too many people know that our gaming revenue from gaming companies alone is about $600 million, which we believe can quadruple to $1.5 billion. We can do that, provided certain ingredients are there. So for the first time, what we've done is, so we have a government relations and policy committee that we've set up, which was already there, but we linked government relations and policy because it's intrinsically linked. And we have started collaborating. Government is very open. We are collaborating with Ministry of IT. We are collaborating with Pakistan Software Export Board and several other forums. So a lot of that policy making is now being done. A lot of it, not all, but a lot of it is being done with our active collaboration, because there's a perfect goal congruence. There is no competitive relationship, right? There's perfect goal congruence. Government's agenda and industry agenda is exactly the same. We both want increase in exports. There's no opposing forces. It's perfect goal congruence. Then we have set up certain sector subcommittees at the CEC, Central Executive Committee level, on certain high growth areas like artificial intelligence, on cyber security, e-commerce. So those are the sectors, gaming and animation. So those are the sectors that we believe are the big growth sectors and would require specific focus and have very specific needs. For instance, when you go to creative arts or gaming and all that, you need computer scientists and all that, but you also need designers from National College of Arts and BU and all the other Indian arts colleges. So that particular competence needs to be built. So from pretty soon, you will start seeing IT industry turning around and saying that we need more graphic designers.
We do,
We do.
Yeah.
Right?
And now we are talking about human-centered design, for example, and not just for small startups, but also large enterprises. That's been a challenge for them to build.
So that UI UX work and all that, so we will be focusing a lot and working with art schools across Pakistan to develop that competence, right? Korea has done wonderful work in that. So creative arts and something creative technologies are something like in EdTech, in making flight simulators and things like that. It's very, very important that, and you just don't need computer programmers for that. You need other skills. So we will be focusing quite a bit of that, and we've asked government to actually budget for that, to allocate funds for that, where we train people in creative arts, which again, nothing to do with this small gap, little gap programming. Similarly, on cyber security, that's a growth area. Artificial intelligence is a growth area. So we have separate subcommittees to all that. And then first time in PASHA, we have now a separate committee for startups.
Okay, excellent.
So we are going to focus, it's for very, very small companies, because those also have very peculiar needs, right? We either need to bridge them with the government program, or we need to bridge them with another larger company and all that to support them. So that synergy needs to be built. So that with these focus on these specific areas, certain growth items, specific areas, we believe we'll be able to do some very focused interventions. I think that has been a problem across the board that our decisions and policies are not data. So one of the first things that we did at PASHA, we have a lot of data by the way. Our member companies are generally much more, well, we are in the data business.
Yeah.
So we for the first time have sort of promised ourselves that we are not going to make a policy statement or ask government for anything unless it is backed up by pure factual data. And where it is an assumption, we'll say so. We will say so. But of course, the limitation to data is a thing. And the idea being that all our policy statements that we make are driven by data. Now, having said that, within PASHA, we are setting up databases and all that. We're setting up member portals and all to get that data so we can get the policies and interventions right. And I'll tell you some very interesting thing. Government is also doing some work. There was a report that we recently saw, which was quite data, one of the few data that we have, that 55% of our exports come from one particular country. Interestingly enough, only 10% of our marketing budget was focused on that country. So we have to align our policy, our intervention based on the data. Right? So we have to get the maximum bang for our buck simply because the cost of capital, one of the ministers just recently said, and I love that thing, so I'm going to quote it again and again. In Pakistan, we have to realize we're a poor country. The cost of capital in our country is very high. Every $100 we waste, we write a death sentence to 10 children because we cannot give them life-saving drugs, which cost $10. So for us, the cost of capital, every $100 means 10 child children will not survive. There are kids. So we have to be very, very cautious on where we spend our dollar. It is our dollar responsibility. So based on that, the decisions we make have to be completely data driven. At PASHA, we've committed to ourselves that every policy statement that we do will be based on data. And I would encourage the government to do that as well. And I've seen a lot of decisions sometimes happen based on whim, based on talking to 2 or 3 people, so when we talk to a few individuals, that's why we encourage a lot of bodies to talk to us. Because when we, as the largest representative of IT organization, what we say actually is the voice of the industry as opposed to voice of a single company. So when you talk to a single company, so when you talk to me about excellence level, I will tell you what is in the interest of my company.
Of course.
Which may or may not be what is in the interest of the industry.
Or applicable to others.
But when you talk to PASHA, it is something which is the voice of the industry. So when we average it out, so a lot of things get sorted out. So we've had earlier policies where somebody says, I want a skill set A, B, or skill set A, not realizing that his or her company is the only one that needs that skill. And we end up training 10,000 kids on that particular skill, which they hire 10 of them, their demand is done, and those other 9,900 kids are just walking around with skill, and government ends up wasting them. So our request and our what we say is that please talk to us. We have the data, and we are the only voice of the industry. And what we say will not only be backed by data. That data, when you aggregate the data, a lot of outliers will get solved. Right? So we don't give you the outlier data, we'll tell you the actual representative data so we get the maximum bang. The honor of serving a number of organizations at the boards. On the board of Salim Memorial Hospital. It's a 350-bed cancer hospital in Pakistan, a not-for-profit, doing phenomenal work. And serving the community. I'm on the board of an organization called Wasil Trust, which is a very small NGO working in Chakwal area, serving the poor, all healthcare. I'm on the board of something called Society for Autistic Children, where it's a small school helping children with autism. I'm on the board of Pakistan Software Technology Board, IPO, Software Technology Zone Authority, and my favorite, which is Power and very strategic organization looking after the billing systems and technology systems needed for the billing for the electric utilities of the country. So, in my humble little capacity, I hardly give any time to explain Liberty anymore. And maybe they're thankful for that.
How does your team respond to that? Because I'm sure it's.
I think they're happy. In my absence, quite a humbling experience that after I left the CEO-ship of the company and hired a professional person to run it, the company has been doing much better than whichever did under my leadership. So I guess they're doing good. I just want look. Why I think the question is that why I left a company and a profit-making income. I'm at the end of my sort of career. I think whatever I needed to achieve for my retirement, I've done it. I have a patent. I wanted that. So all the bucket list is practically signed, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is the time when people like us cannot sit on the fence anymore. We need to stand up and be counted. The country needs us right now. A lot of times I see people sitting in their drawing rooms, dining rooms, lounges, and they talk and complain and they say what's wrong and what needs to be done. And that's fine. It's their right. It's their democratic right to the system of this country. But I think it's time to step up to the plate. It's time to stand up and be counted and contribute the best they can. So let's not worry about, I always say, let's not worry about what A, B, C, D, and E will do. Do what you can.
Do what you can. Yeah.
Whatever you can. I mean, if you can clean the street outside your house, go ahead and just do that.
Yeah.
If you can plant two flower pots, just do that.
Yeah.
And as you know, Kennedy said, ask not what America can do for you, ask what you can do for America. So let's just do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the time. And if you look in American history, that was the time of despondency for them.
Yes.
This is the time of despondency for us. In your sphere of influence, do that. Forget about what A, B, C, D is doing. Stop wasting your time on social media news.
Yes.
90% of the things you get on WhatsApp are not.
Yes.
Right? They're waiting for those clicks to make money. And similarly, what a British, one of the generals once said, that it is not the loss of men, it is the loss of hope which destroys the nations.
Yes.
So we have a lot of despondency, but there are lots of good things happening. Our technology industry is growing 30 to 40%. We're one of the fastest growing industry in the world, not just Pakistan. So just look at that, be part of that growth. Do we have problems? Absolutely.
Oh, which country doesn't?
Which country doesn't?
Yeah.
And if we just come out of our little shell and look at, like we all talk about inflation, we have 20-30% inflation. Look at what's happening in Argentina. They have 100% inflation. Look at what happened in Turkey. Our rupee got devalued. Look what happened in Turkey. Big company, we're very impressed on this. So I think we just need to work a little bit on our society. We need to be honest to ourselves. We need to speak the truth with ourselves.
Even if we're the only ones saying it.
Even if you're the only one. We need to stop talking to the audience or what they want to hear. Whatever you believe is right. But even in our own self, have data-driven decisions. You don't make a decision and then find data to substantiate it. Look at data and then write your decision.
Yeah.
So I am deep down inside a nerd. Even today, I spend like an hour every day reading about new technologies. And I've designed a few things and all the rest of it. I think on the technology side, we are at a great inflection point. I think artificial intelligence is going to have a bigger impact than when internet was introduced. Or mobile technology, internet and mobile technology change the way we work, we live, we communicate. It had social impact. The whole human society changed. So we saw that changes 2 or 3 times in history. We saw that change when a wheel was invented, fire was invented. We saw that change when steam engine was invented, internet, mobile came in. And now I think artificial intelligence. It will impact human learning. It will impact our work. Unless we harness it and lead it, I think it could be either very positive or it could be extremely harmful. A lot of countries have started working on universal national income. There are more than 30 or 40 experiments because they don't know that what the people how will they make money because they have in place the money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
engineers, and maybe productivity increase will create more jobs. Yeah, that is one view. And I subscribe to this one, but there's a counter view. That's what I'm saying, that we need to have data to drive our decisions as opposed to decisions for the data, right? So the counter view is, which is, I don't have that answer, is when the steam engine came, mechanical technology grew, human beings for the first time realized that strong muscles are really not needed. Right? You don't need a horse-drawn carriage. You don't need muscles. You don't need to be strong. You can have brains, and the steam engine will do that. This engine will do that. We moving water from point A to point B, or moving people or goods or services. You don't need horses. So it reduced the use of muscle. So human being men did not have to be so strong. They could live. They could still survive and be productive without having a strong muscle. The use of muscle ended. Now the use of brain is also ended. So if the muscle is not needed and the brain is not needed, why is the human needed?
Yes.
So that's a counter view. I think the reality will be somewhere. These are both extreme examples. I think generally things don't happen in extreme; they happen in gray areas. So I think we'll be looking at a whole new, different world with AI. I think human interaction will change. I think society will change, and we need to subscribe to it. Pakistani IT industry, which is inclusive, representative of 51% and 49% inclusive. I would want to be fully integrated in the global community. If that is what we can do, our revenues will come, the dollar growth and everything will happen, and we will have a transformative experience in our society. I think if we can make one globally integrated industry, which is inclusive in all its rights, in gender, in all other segments of inclusivity, and integrated with the rest of the world, I think we will have a much bigger social impact. Our other problems that we see in the society in terms of tolerance, in terms of accepting differences, and so on and so forth, I think all of them. Many amazing advantages we have. We have a youth bunch. It's there. We are an English speaking country.
With a pretty decent accent.
With a pretty decent accent.
Yeah.
So with a pretty decent accent. So we need to focus on that. So we need to make sure what our USPs are. And then work on those USPs. Right? And then we have to see what our weaknesses are and try to reduce them. So our USPs that I see, we are an English speaking country. Practically. We need to make sure that we continue to develop that as opposed to reducing that. We need to see that we have a youth bunch. We have a lot of young people. We produce over 100,000 graduates a year. We need to make sure they're market ready. So whilst they're there, they may or may not be market ready. We need to make sure they're there. I think these two are our major plus. So you see, generally it is the hunger which gives you motivation. So if you look at the growth of England in the early 1900s and all that, when they went out in 19th century, right? So there was a lot of what they call the wandering poor in England, and those wandering poor actually became their strength, and they went out from Australia to US to UK and all that. So I think we are practically that's right. We're the fifth most populous country with the lowest GDP, right? Within the top 10 countries. So if we can move that, get that people redirected through some social engineering experience, that instead of moving on to negativity, they focus on their creative skills, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. The necessity is there, but that invention is going in the wrong direction. If we can refocus them somehow through social engineering, I think that can become a great tool of innovation. Enterprise digital leadership effectively is a transformation agent, right? We are living or entering in the era of artificial intelligence, which is going to not only change the way we do business, it's going to change the way we actually live. So at senior digital level, what I believe is the people who are transformation agents in this era are the ones who will be able to foresee correctly where the technology is going and the social impact and change accordingly, right? Like we did in case of COVID, where people eventually went on work from home and the productivity loss did happen, but not so much in certain cases. So those, I think the new digital era leader right now is somebody who has an eye on technology at all times, who's seeing what is happening across the board, because a lot of disruption is going to happen. A lot of big giants within technology are going to fail, are going to fall.
Yeah.
And a lot of new giants. NVIDIA, how many of us had heard of NVIDIA 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Today it's a
Just
$1 trillion company.
yeah.
Today it's a $1 trillion company, right? So how many of us had heard it? Similarly, now we are for the first time. So a lot of disruption is going to happen. So we need to be on top. So this is the time when a lot of reading needs to be done. A lot of knowledge has to be acquired, and a lot of collaboration needs to happen, where we learn from each other and learn from each other's views, so we can form a cogent strategy for the nation. So a digital nation strategy, which is an initiative and a law that's coming out, a digital nation strategy needs to be built and developed, where as leadership we need to see where we are going to take our nation when it becomes 100% digital. And the nation that does it well, the nation that focuses on productivity, is the nation that's going to